Okay, Scorpio rising, there's a total solar eclipse in your 10th house of Leo. What will that mean for you specifically? I'm Sook, you're awesome. Let's talk about it. In astrology, an eclipse is a particularly significant event and is usually symbolic of major beginnings and major endings in our lives. Over the course of the next 6 months, you may end up leaving behind an ambition, an old ambition that's run its course, so a more meaningful one can emerge. The ideas we center around concepts of success or being successful changes as we move through phases of our lives. This eclipse is asking you to audit any coping mechanisms when it comes to your more ambitious self or your subjective perspective of what success is in your life. This eclipse is taking place on your parental axis or your private public axis. In other words, how you show up as your private self and how you show up as your public self, your public reputation and your private world. For some of you, this could include stepping into a completely new profession or taking on a complete new skill set when it comes to your career, life path forward, your authority in any particular domain that you've worked on, your industry, for example. Promotion, retirement, getting laid off, getting a new job, there is something pivoting when it comes to your public self and your public identity. Now, Jupiter, which rules over your 5th house of children, is up in this 10th house. So let's say you don't have a career. Maybe you stay at home with the kids or you have some kind of relationship with children. Maybe you work in a daycare center or you're a teacher, for example. This area of children and authentic creative self-expression is expanding and it's asking you to step forward in a more visible way. Showing up for your kids, being more supportive of your kids, potentially changing your perception of having children. If you've never thought you would have children in the past, maybe you're becoming more open to the idea. Additionally, Jupiter is the ruler of your 2nd house, which governs over your livelihood, the access to resources you have, your wealth, your spending and your expenditures. In some way, shape or form, over the next 6 months, you're trying to redefine what your legacy will be and how you will be seen in a more public, visible way. Now, a quick caveat here. If you're expecting something to change and you're not participating in life, astrology is only giving you an opportunity window for you to self-activate, to self-motivate, to inspire and lead the charge, so to speak. It's not just going to land in your lap. That's not necessarily how this stuff works. Are you participating in your life? What do you want to be remembered for and what contribution are you putting forward to make that a concrete reality? What are you building? Now, the 10th and the 4th axis is also about your parents. And again, with the 5th house ruler and the 10th house, the ruler of children, this can speak to your relationship with your parents or your relationship with your children as a parent. Concepts of leadership and authority could really be questioned in this time, you taking on a different role or taking a different perspective of how you want to parent. In fact, many of your career and family themes may intersect in this time. Have you been sacrificing too much for your internal thirst or quest for achievement? And how does that play out when it comes to your relationship with your parents and your relationship with your family? Long-term success will require you to take care of yourself, your nearest and dearest, the foundations of your life, if indeed that success is going to last at scale. At the time of this eclipse, your chart ruler Mars is actually sitting on 0 degrees of Cancer in your 9th house. This could look like a severing of an old worldview, old ideology, old concept of what your future self really looks like, the vision of yourself. And that could be quite painful to actually let go of, to sever. Many of you could be feeling very passive-aggressive or resentful or overly protective of a vision that you've had that you haven't been able to complete. And so therefore, this could have been the catalyst to ask you to pivot what ambition and what success really looks like to you. The North Node moving into the 4th house has somewhat of an insatiable thirst, an instinct towards momentum. So you could feel like you need to restructure the family or living situation, renovate, move, refinance. Look, I'm not sure. But the more you invest in this home, family, living situation, your own self-concept, the more you'll be rewarded. The more you build in that area, the more it will compound in meaning or overall life purpose. And with the ruler of the 4th house of Aquarius in your 6th house of Aries, this is about a consistent distribution of energy and attention into this area. Now, it could be quite draining, especially if you haven't got that work-life balance sorted out. But focusing more attention into your lifestyle and the domesticated duties that require you to pay more attention to your home will be rewarded over the next 6 months. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't be given more opportunities in your career, not at all. If you set up the foundations of yourself, you might be more regulated emotionally and energetically to actually achieve more in your career or public life. This is a beginning of a cycle that actually rearranges or restructures or takes away old authority figures in your life so you can actually step in to being your own sovereign individual. This is the perfect time for you to ask yourself, are you participating in life? Now, as a thank you for watching this entire video, please feel free to send me a DM. I'll send you a coupon code for 30 Australian dollars off my natal and transit readings exclusively for new clients. Hope that helps. Okay, bye.